Conversations with Friends. Conversations with Friends.
Conversations with Friends.
Hey, good evening. Welcome to Conversations with Friends. Beautiful Sunday. I'm here with my illustrious chef, as I like to say. What's going on, partner?
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How's everything?
Everything is pretty good. No complaints over here.
I know we both enjoyed a very interesting show earlier, and we were talking about
Yes.
hilarious. But anyway, tonight our topic for our show,
hmm
very 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 thoughtful, will be bad behavior of women.
Right.
And I'm gonna put it out there. You might have ruffled some feathers with this conversation because sometimes people will think this is like a contest or a battle. Oh,
Right.
y'all just gonna be bashing women or bashing men. No, the topic just happens to be bad behavior or negative behavior in women. But I believe that mostly women will do this type of bad behavior that we're gonna address towards each other,
Right.
which is very interesting. So
Agreed.
take it away, man.
So let's talk about some of the negative behaviors of women. Cattiness. Hi, Takia.
What? Now let me ask you. This cattiness,
Yes.
I'm a cat guy, and it derives from a cat. So I don't know why they would make a cat seem negative, but explain the cattiness that women have towards each other.
Oh, so just ill comments directed at one another, very sarcastic, hurtful things. They can say hurtful things often. And I feel a lot of it stems from jealousy, honestly. Jealousy and envy. I don't partake in catty, quote unquote, friendships, but to me, that's like a frenemy. That's right.
Yeah,
jealousy and envy.
It's interesting because you I will say this, and this is just for context of our show. Like it happens a lot amongst friends. It happens a lot amongst friends. Like a guy, she could be dealing with a guy that they know of from across town,
Right.
and and it even affects us in social media because person to be like, I'm dealing with somebody. I'm not gonna put them on social media because I don't need nobody to be like, oh, I know him, and then they're basing it off of, okay, what's your response? How you know him? Oh,
I think we all know about those I know him people.
Yeah.
Or I know her.
He used to deal with one of my girlfriends, and then I used to deal with him. So it's always some type of negative connotation behind the I know him. The instead of saying, like minding your business sometimes, or just even if it comes from a good place, it's not them calling and be like, yo, you got to be careful of him because of such and such. It just be some like Takia just took the words right out of my mouth, like a gaslighting type of situation. Like,
right. Right.
I'm gonna ask you, and this is more because you are the chef, like I love to say, and and I can't answer this question because I'm a man.
Come on with it.
Is this a situation where, like, say if me and you out, we out, we chilling, we our spot, we at Starbucks,
right,
and you could detect a female being catty with you, and I probably be straight oblivious to it. Is it like a woman thing? Like a woman? Like
woman's intuition is like off the hook. Like, and just that energy, that negative energy, oh my God, it bounces off of you like, it's like a funk.
I'm laughing because I see it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and like I having so many beautiful women, I believe in my life. It is like an energy, and it is something you guys pick up on. Because I'd be like, "What you talking about? You
Mm-hmm.
didn't catch it?" She was in my comments. Be like, "Go to my page." People be like, "Go to my page, Q." Be like, "What you talking about?" Oh, you didn't see the little slick comment? And I'll be like,
Right.
"What? What are you talking about?" Well, that was some slick stuff. You don't know because, and then I'll be informed of the backstory of what's going on. Or like I know one way is you could put anything on your post or whatever, and you could be happy about something, and then
Mm-hmm.
somebody come and be like, "Me too."
Right.
I
Right.
was in the same situation. Like, this
Mm-hmm.
ain't about you right now. This is about Melodic. Like, this is the way that she's talking about one of her victories. Like, she's a positive affirmation. Like, I get it. You may have some type of similarities in what you're going through, and you see it. I know when I was doing some research for the show,
Mm-hmm.
they were talking about it really gets crazy in the workplace with other women.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of backbiting. Oh, absolutely. Um, I think you just have to be careful of the people you surround yourself with. Um, I'm just because I'm a woman. Um, I'll share this. I don't entertain catty friendships. Um, because to me, if you have someone around you that's jealous of you, you can't trust that person. You can't trust them because anytime they get a chance to undercut you, they're going to do that. So it's like, yeah, I don't really biz with her like that. You know what I mean?
Speak to that because I don't like. Listen, I'm trying. I'm a man, so you educating me.
Hmm.
You got me. I'm at your I'm on your knees right now. Like, yo, help me, teach me. But speak to the envy and jealousy because I think a lot of times people think jealousy is more of I want what you have, and it's
Not.
different.
It's not always I want what you have. In all honesty, I mean, sometimes there are situations where it's not even about a physical thing. It just might be that person is very charismatic and people like that person and what they bring to the table. They enjoy that person's conversation. They may be a very illuminating being who attracts a lot of different people, and some people are really jealous of that. Like, they do not like that. It's like, ugh, I don't particularly care for her, or and that's fine, you know. But I don't know. I just Some people may hate the way that other people love you.
Mm,
And then there are a lot of instances where sometimes, with women, excuse me, they will try to, well, in regards to negative behaviors, they will try to measure up against you, or always try to like one up you, when it comes to anything. Um, More than you, but exactly. But they may not be as charismatic as you, or as
one of
attractive. Yet energy attracts people,
hmm
and
one
they
of
may not have that. They may not be
one of
used to that.
one of the things, right, that I see, like you see like a lot of women try to support each other, and it's a great thing when you have women support each other because nobody else knows what a woman goes through. Definitely when you even when you break it down to culturally, an Arab woman would not know culturally what a Black American woman may go through. So some cultural
Right.
differences. So you see a lot of Black American women who stick together and understand, as we would say, the girl code. And the perception sometimes is, oh, you co-sign when one be on some BS, oh, you co-signing it. And I know me and you have talked before about, it's a ways to go about things. It's a certain code of conduct of how women should carry themselves that only women know. And I know me and you had talked about, like, I don't know certain things. Like, as a woman, when you spot, a woman being, as we would say, ratchet, like she out of pocket,
ratchet,
like
or pick me, pick me, pick me.
what, but see,
Seriously, like you're so, like, some women are so, like, thirsty for that attention and that validation that they will do anything to have someone pick them or have someone pay attention to them. It's crazy. I mean, there are certain women who throw themselves at men. Like, it's crazy. Like, I mean, other guys will sit there like, did she just say that? Is she really throwing it like that? My goodness gracious. And this most of the guys, like the guys are like, back off, like, oh, she's too aggressive.
But believe it or not, that's where the crazy competition part, because they might be in competition with you, and you be like, I ain't even in competition. Like, what are you talking about? I got other stuff going on. And I see that with social media.
Right.
You could follow somebody just to follow them. You see they do a video, definitely on IG. You want to support what they're doing, you start following them. And then once they start getting followers, I always say it, they start taking their clothes off. You'd be like, I didn't come for this.
Right. Not to mention,
I'm a man, but I didn't come for that.
Looking for? Well, is that the attention that you're looking for? Because my thing is, if you're doing everything to be noticed because someone else has a special kind of glimmer, and you feel like you're not getting that attention that you want to get, you're definitely not going to get the right type of attention. You're absolutely right, Takia. They don't know their worth. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and that's a good point that she brought up, where she said TV is teaching them bad behavior rather than values. I think that's unfortunately, and I never wanted to be the get off my lawn type of guy once we got to a certain age. But you get to a point where you be like, listen, we Generation X. Right. They thought we was bad, but Generation Z,
right,
y'all coming with some other stuff. And it's interesting that, even so much to the point from a man's perspective where we're trying to show some type of chivalry. You ain't my lady. I want to hold the door open for you because this is what we do. I want to give you a nice compliment, but you perceive my comment as I'm a broke dude, or I'm thirsty, or I'm looking at you, or I'm coming at you sideways, or because I don't have a materialistic outlook that you may think I don't have. Now you want to act a certain way. And then, you always get those instances with men and women that are crazy, that the interaction out in public where it's like, what the hell just happened?
Right.
Like, where to go left with, why he disrespecting her as a woman and vice versa as a man. So I always ask myself, Melodic, with all that's going on, we know social media could be looked at in the vacuum. How do we approach each other? How do I approach a woman that doesn't have a bad attitude? I'll use that example first.
Are you talking about in a romantic sense, or are you
just in a sense
like
of
situation?
Yeah, platonic, like socially, like how you doing? You mind if I buy you a cup of coffee?
In a romantic sense. Sorry, I'm so sorry. So sorry, Q. Good Lord, look at me over here trying to multitask. I'm doing a bad job at it. So I feel like when you approach a woman, like, approach them honestly, because the way that you approach them, that's going to tell whether or not that's the type of woman that you even want to interact with. The way that they respond to you, etc. Child, can you put that back up? I didn't see that. Childhood trauma bonding, attention seeking, no dad in the home. Yep, exactly. That's the sad thing. A lot of these moms actually are not good examples for their children, especially the females. One thing I can say is, I have teenagers, and just seeing the way that some of these girls interact, one with each other, it is crazy, and two, with these boys. I'm finding that some of these girls are really, really aggressive. I just
Well,
don't remember us being aggressive like
it's
that.
funny you said that. I noticed that myself, where, and like I said, I don't want to use social media as the parameter of how our society as a whole is, because honestly, I don't see nothing that most people post on social media. I don't see nothing of that throughout my day. I haven't seen none of that stuff. But I do see certain things like in stores, and it's always seems like, and I'm not being misogynistic. It
Mhm.
always seems like it goes from 0 to 60 when it's a woman involved. Like what just happened? Like where'd this go? Like even to the point like a while ago we seen the video where the young man was in the store in Dollar Tree, and the girl just started hitting him, and he never hit her. He kept trying to restrain himself. She was grabbing him, and it was like, yo, why does she want to put hands and feet all on this young man? And he never hit her. He was like being restrained, and people in the store broke it up. But he kept like saying like, "Yo, I'm not gonna hit you. I'm not gonna hit you." And we know that's an example, but it's like a lot of our young women. I'll just say they seem to be appear to be on edge.
Well, okay, so just let's talk about where your home training should start. I don't know about anybody else, but I know that I was taught you don't jump up in a man's face. You keep your hands to yourself. Um, because if you swing on somebody, why would you get upset if they hit you back? You understand what I'm saying? Like keep your hands to yourself. That's a no-no. You're supposed to treat people the way that you want them to treat you. And even if someone is not of good character, you should still not allow someone to take you out of your character.
Mm, mm.
Always behave in the manner that you want to be. And that's amazing. Um you're right. I see fights where these women are like chasing the guys and swinging on them, and I'm just like, if he turned around and cold clocked you, you would be mad and you would be
The,
screaming about,
the
oh,
young
he did this, he did that. But
the
yeah,
young
if
lady
you
the
keep
young
poking the
lady
bear, he's
the,
eventually gonna attack you.
the young lady maced the school teacher. I'm like, yeah, like what just happened? Like over a phone?
I can't remember where exactly it was. Maybe it was like North Carolina or South Carolina. But a young lady attacked the teacher and the teacher
Mm,
whooped on her.
mm, yeah. And then we've seen it constantly with bus drivers. I mean,
Right.
if that was my profession as a school bus driver right now, I would feel bad because this is the reason, and I know a lot of the younger people don't know. That's the reason why they brought aides on the bus,
Right.
because the aides' job was to assist the bus driver with the children. But
Right.
now it's to the point where the aide and the bus driver is not enough. And
Right.
usually what happens is we see a video where it gets out of hand and the bus driver gets fired or whatever. And it's like, and I know I might have went and said the bus driver dealing with all kids, but as a young girl and young women, like where and and you want people to be able to defend their self if somebody's doing something to them to harm them and defend their property. But where is a young female? And I don't want to sound
Well, who's teaching these young ladies to be ladies?
mm.
And that's the thing. I mean, you should be a lady.
And I don't think, which is interesting. I don't think, and I
Walk
know
with grace.
a lot of people be like, oh, she's acting like that because she don't have her father in her life, or her father wasn't. I think that doesn't mean anything, because I know a lot of people who didn't have the other parent at their home, and they still knew how to conduct themselves and deal with the opposite sex in public and deal with people in public and don't have a bad attitude. So I'm not one that thinks just because a person didn't come from a two-parent home that they have to be a certain way.
No,
Takia, Takia,
agreed. Agreed.
Takia brought up a point, and I
Mhm.
waited to put this comment up, right? So to give some context, right, and I didn't even get a chance to tell you this behind the scenes, right?
Mhm.
I was in a situation, and you know about it before. So I was in a situation where I gave a young lady a compliment, and it wasn't a compliment; it was just a casual conversation, and I said something, and we happened to work together, right?
Okay.
And she took it, and you know me, she was trying to me, but it was more hilarious to me because I said it in front of our supervisor,
Mhm.
and I didn't say anything inappropriate or disrespectful.
Okay.
And once we wasn't working together that day, she blew it up, made a whole thing. A couple people asked me, and my intention was to help her, and my
Mhm.
intention has always been to try to help some of the women that I work with.
Right.
And because of her attitude and her perception of what I did, I was never able to help and assist her.
Mm.
And that's what I mean because I had the more experience. I had been there. I had been in my job for a while, so I could kind of foresee the BS in the workplace
Right.
that you got to kind of like tell people. And she eventually got let go.
Right.
She eventually
Mm.
got let go this week, and I felt bad for her, Melodic.
Okay.
I really, really felt bad for her because I, I kind of knew it was going to happen.
Mm.
I
Okay.
kind of
You
knew it
saw
was
it
going to
coming.
happen.
That was your
I
foresight.
saw it coming. I saw it coming, and I saw her attitude when we first met, and it wasn't a bad attitude. It was more of a naive attitude,
Mm-hmm.
and because of whatever reasons, like, and I could use what Takia said, because of the trauma, whatever she had
Mm-hmm.
going on in her life,
Right.
what I said to her, she took out of context, and
Mm.
like I was trying to help you.
Mm.
So and it's crazy because even like 3 weeks ago, I was gonna say something to her like, "Yo, they coming." I knew
Mm.
I couldn't say nothing.
Well, some women misconstrue a man being friendly or nice to you as if he's trying to trying to talk to you, and that's not always the case.
Mm.
As long as he's not saying anything inappropriate, like even a man saying hi or good morning, how are you, every day. Some women are like, oh, he's really into me. How do you know? What did he say?
And that's funny because if you're a type of, definitely from a man's perspective, if you're the type of man that loves to give people compliments, like, you look nice, or I
Hmm.
like your pictures, definitely on social media,
Right.
it's a perception. Some people may perceive it as thirsty. No, you look nice. I believe in giving people their flowers. I'm
Right.
gonna give you your flowers. It has nothing to do with that. And then, like you said, they'll get on the phone or whatever and be like, "Girl, he started liking all my pictures. I just friended
Yep.
him. He even went to the pictures from 2 years ago. Like,
Yep.
he feeling me." And
Hmm.
you could know the guy more than him, and you could be like, "That's a happily married man. He is not
Right.
feeling you. He just giving you compliments, young lady."
Exactly.
Like, stop
Exactly.
it.
But because some women are so thirsty for that validation, that outside validation, and that attention, you know, they will misconstrue a situation. Um, but let's get back to the negative behaviors of women in general.
Hmm.
So, envious,
Mm.
uh, and let's talk about friends and friendship. Just I, I feel like it's a fine line
I think I
between
think
a
I
friend
think
and
women to
a
drop
frenemy. When
women to drop a friend in a minute.
well, and
Because I think y'all are able to spot some of the bull, excuse the language, some of the BS a
mhm.
mile away that a friend may be giving off. Like, you never happy, you it's like definitely if it's like a double date thing, y'all just happen to meet up at a spot. It's like
Right.
this weird competition. Like,
But see, and that's the thing. So I don't really do the double date thing. That's not my thing. And I'm never in competition with another woman. The only woman I'm in competition with is myself. I always want to be better than I was yesterday. That's my goal. when I wake up.
So let me ask you, Melodic, when you say that,
Mhm.
like, how does that motivate you, like, to be a better person than you was yesterday, to be on top of your game, to be, as you would say, not you would say this per se, but yo, I'm looking in the mirror. I gotta be the shit today. I gotta be on top. I gotta be the best version of me every day.
Discipline, and just, I mean, and don't get me wrong, you mess up, it's a constant struggle to, try to improve yourself on a continual basis. But I feel like you need to do self-evaluation of yourself. I don't know how many people do this, but even in conversations, sometimes you may speak a little too soon before you hear the whole conversation, or something may trigger you in a conversation, and you're like, oh well, such and such and such. And sometimes the way that you say things, they may not come out the way that you intend for them to come out, and you need to sit back and think about the things that you say to people. Honestly, I try to think about the things that I say to people before I say them, because you never know how someone else is going to perceive your comment.
So let me ask you. I'm gonna just do some hypotheticals, right? You
Let's go.
you
Let's
you
go.
got you got all this great energy. You got all this love and trying to be great for yourself, and then you want to be able to. You're in a happy space in life, and you want other people to be happy in the space that they created for themselves. So
Amen.
so you go to work, right? And it's the new
Mhm.
girl come in,
Okay.
and you got two new girls. You got one who's outspoken, and you see it, and you like, here she go. And you see she's a gossiper. She comes in the office as the gossip girl. And then
Hmm.
you got the other girl who's on the other side. She's real quiet. She wants to get her work done. How do you go about trying to have a professional relationship with them,
Hmm.
but not a personal, and not come off like you have an attitude, or because you don't have an attitude. You're great. You're good in your space.
Hmm.
Life is beautiful. You got all the love, and like the kid said, you can't save everybody, but y'all know how it is when you're a high energy, loving person and you
Hmm.
got it going on. You can't help but to share that shit. You can't help
Um.
but to share it to a point like, yo, I'm great. I'm
Right.
doing my thing.
Right.
How
Well,
do
I
you
feel like in the workplace, you're going to run into all different types of people, and you have to learn how to deal with different people on different levels. That's first and foremost. Let's say the young lady was a gossiper, and very, chatty. One, um, the noise canceling headphones. That's one. um, and two, just don't participate in, just because somebody else is sitting there gossiping, that doesn't mean that you have to participate in it. If they say something about such and such and such or whatever, I would probably just be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know, I
Now let
know,
me
I
get
know,
back to my work.
I know one of the things that these places of employment, and those in the chat that work for another employee, y'all know. So what I'm about to say, y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. What about the times when we are training somebody and we're not a we're not trained to we're not paid to train somebody, but
Hmm.
we're training somebody at our job, and that that to me speaks right to the bad attitude stuff, because their attitude about their
And we're talking
job.
about females.
Yeah, yeah, in general,
Mhm.
like I've had situations where I've had to train a female, and I'm like, I don't need this energy. Like, this energy coming off on me, like this ain't my reputation within the workplace. And now you come in, you complaining about everything. You
Mhm.
giving off, as you would say, thirsty vibes to a lot of the men we work with. Like, I have to
Mm.
protect myself. Like, and that's even.
I would limit my interaction with that person. Someone who can't, to me, someone who can't seem to control themselves when it comes to being thirsty with the opposite sex, etc. I try to limit my interaction with that person seriously. because, like, you don't want any of that negative energy to rub off on you.
Yeah. So I know you sent me something. And so I'm gonna play
Yes.
it, and when you first sent it to me, how my opinion of that show. So I was like, what is this I'm looking at? But I really appreciate it, and it speaks a lot. So I'm gonna play it,
Yeah, I
and then
love this clip.
we'll talk about it.
Yep.
Gabrielle Union was on the show recently. She talked about how certain women in the business helped her when she was first starting out.
Yeah. I was lucky to come up with some OGs that were very transparent and very honest, and they were not interested in watching me fail or flail. Tisha Campbell paid for therapy for me. That's someone, who really has your back.
It's funny because I didn't think she would remember. It was just a moment in time for us. It was like, take this gift. I want you to have it because I want her to win. I want us to win. And I want us all to win. And there's so many pitfalls. There's so many things that the fame monster is an ugly, ugly thing that one could get addicted to. I really, really wanted her to be okay. Not that anything was wrong. It's just want to support it.
Talk to somebody every now and again.
I just want us to win.
That's
right.
And I want. It's not a competition. I compete with myself.
That's it.
Yeah.
But it is a support system that I want her
She's
to
still
have. I know. I saw that. I literally cried when I saw it.
Interesting.
Yes. I
Interesting.
think I've said it on the show before, and I'll say it again. It is so imperative that you have a sister circle to surround you, to support you. Just to be able to bounce ideas off of one another, bounce situations off of one another. Because sometimes you go through these situations in life and you feel like, oh, I'm the only person that this is happening to, etc. But you would be really surprised how many other women can relate to some of the experiences that you have. That's, to me, that's the best thing, to have a support system around you. And I feel like when you actually participate in these negative behaviors, you push people away from you. And my thing is, are you afraid to be better?
I thought that was an interesting clip. I mean, I think that like-mindeds do need to help each other and have those circles and be able to bounce feelings, because them two both are in the industry, and Tisha was probably able to identify some of the things that Gabrielle Union was going through as a young actress.
Absolutely.
To pay for her therapy, that's a big compliment. And
absolutely, that's amazing.
It's interesting because if you follow Tisha Campbell's career, she does come off as a very loyal friend,
right?
And always trying to empower people and definitely other women. And you're right, you need that, because at the end of the day, the trauma bonding will come. Like, if you have the negative energy, you have the negative perception, you're going to attract those that do the same stuff as you, and then all y'all it's going to be a click of negativity.
Right, absolutely. And you know what? Misery loves company. That is no lie. So let's talk about vindictiveness. Ooh, that's another negative behavior. I can say that in the past, I'm going to share, probably like in my 20s, I was very vindictive. I think it possibly had something to do with, where I grew up, and I had to tackle that on my own.
When you say that, and I applaud you for being, as they would say, transparent and sharing that. I don't see that in you, and I'm glad that you've grown, you've matured. Explain how you was vindictive. How? Because I know a different side of you. I know the side you are now, and in my opinion of you, I don't see a piece of vindictive bone in you. I mean, we could
Aw.
we could be a little petty every now and then, but that's how we are.
Oh well, I have grown. I am not ashamed to say that I've grown. I think just growing up in the hood.
Mm.
Um, I had more of a "you kill my dog, I'll kill your cat" mentality. Like, oh yeah, okay, game on, let's go, game on. And I really had to outgrow that. I had to meet other people, and then also I remember having a conversation with my mother, um, and my adult relationship with my mother was completely different, of course, than my childhood relationship with my mom, because I was able to relate to her on a grown woman level. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And excuse me, she was able to give me examples of just growing up being vindictive, or or running into someone who was vindictive, and just different examples. So after seeing, sometimes you have to sit back and reflect on how mean you can be sometimes, and mean is not always the answer.
I'm gonna ask you a question about your former self being vindictive.
Mhm.
You ever been in a situation where you was being vindictive
Mhm.
based off of your perception of a situation that happened, and then when it came out, the situation wasn't what you thought it was, and you felt kind of like egg on your face, like damn.
No, no, never. Whenever I was vindictive, it was well deserved. Um, the reaction. One thing I can say is I was definitely, doling out,
Yeah.
some harsh, I
I
guess,
mean,
harsh punishment.
some people will
You
say
know,
you was balancing the scales. You was,
agreed, agreed.
balancing
Some
the
people
scale.
would say that,
But
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 I feel like when you put certain things out there, you're gonna get when you put that negativity out there, you're gonna get negativity in return. uh Again, don't let someone change your character. Don't let somebody change who you are. Don't be somebody that you don't want to be. I know who I want to be, and I strive every day to hit that standard. So, you know.
Takia says something very interesting. I want to read her comment. She said, "Yes, as a life coach and business coach, I know exactly what you mean. I created a mastermind group since I mostly work with entrepreneurs. But even when we have group sessions, and the stories they all have usually are similar. Yes, yes, yes. Good evening, Nicole.
Hi, Nicole.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up when we talk about catty, envy, and being vindictive, and then you sharing your personal story and understanding like, okay, this is a trait that a human being has, but this is also a trait that a woman has that I need to get rid of. What made you, and we know time and maturity, but was it anything that happened personally, like I can't be moving like that. I can't be vindictive. I can't give that vindictive energy to that because it's not that serious. Was it?
Sometimes you notice those behaviors in other people. I mean, I know who I am, but you notice those behaviors in other people, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up, sis, chill. What are you doing? Um, I tend to call people on their BS, and I expect my friends to call me, when I'm doing something that may be negative. I'm not perfect, but when I see that type of behavior, I'm just like, I do respond to that behavior with distance. I absolutely respond to that behavior with distance, especially if it's somebody that I really care about. Um, you, we will eventually get down to the root of the situation, but I may need a break because, yeah, I'm not gonna do that with you. Nah, I'm not gonna do that with you.
Well, it's interesting because me and you as a co-host of the show, we share a lot of great life changing information
Hmm.
with each other, and it is crazy when you have that self-talk. And I know I'm not a woman. I know that I'm not one of your girlfriends. I'm your boy, your partner. And just to be able to share, like, and you know, we keep it 100.
Mm-hmm.
One of the issues that I had as a middle-aged black man, I shared with you, and you gave me some advice, and basically, as they would say, coach me through some situations that I may have, even though I wasn't at fault at, in my opinion, that you made me look at. Well, maybe goes back to our first show ever. Well, Q, man, maybe you didn't set boundaries
Right.
from the door. Like
Right.
maybe you did something, and I think that's the good behavior aspect that we all should want to display and having. For me, I have a circle of like women in my life
Mm-hmm.
now,
Right.
and
Right.
I'm able to. I'm not gonna say I don't see the behavior, but as a man, I think I can call a lot of the women in my circle out now.
Right.
But unlike before I couldn't call them out, and it's
Because you
weird
weren't
because
paying attention to
no, I
that.
was
Because you
no,
were
I
all
wasn't
on
paying.
your, your
And,
macho man thing,
yeah, and
Right.
now, believe it or not, because of the friendships, the relationships that I developed with them, I could call them out, and they'd be like, "Oh yeah, I was being petty. I
Right.
was, I was,
Right.
I was cutting up." And it's interesting how women, because of the topic of our show, women have a unique way of going about their business every day, opposed to men. We're different, and I think some of our
Absolutely.
differences does not mean a competition. Some of our differences mean an understanding of each other. Like this is what y'all do, and even when you said to me, "Well, we're gonna do a show on this," I was like, "Oh boy, oh, they go, they gonna be like Q, and they're gonna be going off on women." And I kind of I understand because women have battles that they have to face
Mhm.
as well as men, and they're different battles every day. And
Absolutely.
and sometimes you'll wear the bad attitude as a badge of honor. You'll be vindictive, like, oh no, he did that to me or she did that to me. I got to
Right.
one up them. I got to do everything. It's so bad now. You got dudes keying cars.
But I feel like it's about growth. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
once you know better, you do better. You know, at least once you know better, you do better. Or once you know better, you should do better. I guess
Mhm.
that's that says it best. But another behavior I'd like to talk about is selfishness.
Mm, mm.
Um, some women can be very selfish, whether it's within the confines of a friendship with other women, or if within a relationship as well.
Explain that. How from a friendship standpoint, the selfishness with other women.
Oh, with other women. So, okay. Some women are so used to needing that friend to be a support system, and to be a shoulder to cry on, to help build you up, but they're not willing to reciprocate. And that, to me, that's a lopsided friendship. I don't like to participate in those either. I tend to shy away
You know,
from
you
those.
know, you know that I'm glad you brought that up because the example I'm about to bring is a true story that I know about, right?
Hmm.
And it's dealing with a lopsided friendship. Someone was in. Someone didn't show up for one female didn't show up for another female's party,
Hmm.
and the one whose party it was in their feelings because the other friend shows up for everybody else,
Hmm.
and they didn't tell him.
Hmm.
They didn't tell the friend, and they felt some type of way, and probably to this day still feel some type of way.
Right.
How how should she approach that?
You didn't show up for me, and I have a problem with it. Be honest. Be honest. I expected you to be there. I wanted you to be there. I asked you to be there. And then you didn't even have the common courtesy or decency to tell me that you weren't able to make it. And I think that's terrible because I always show up for you. So, what was it about our friendship, or
Mm.
maybe you were going through something? But I can understand that if you were going through something. However, as my friend, you should have showed up for me the way that I show up for you.
One of the things is that you brought up is the expectation.
I can't hear you.
One of the things that you brought up about it is the expectation.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes, and I noticed in watching, listening to a lot of females, females have an expectation of what other friends should do, what the female friends should do. For example, is I'm doing an event. I posted it on social media. That's an invite. When you could have expected
Yeah,
a
that's a
personal
no.
invite.
That's a no. That's a no. So I don't have any expectations of anyone, and I if that's your friend, you should be able to honestly talk with your friend. I don't know what's going on with my camera. You should be able to honestly talk with your friend and say, "Hey, I expect you. I expect you to be there. I
Mhm.
expect you to participate in whatever the event is." And yeah, unless somebody died or it was some type of emergency, I need you to show up for me.
Mm, mm. It's interesting.
Hmm.
Because I've seen it like, yo,
Hmm.
you ain't friends with such and such. No, she's selfish. Every time I'm having something going on, she never show up, but
Yep.
she always expecting everybody else to show up to her stuff.
Yep.
And I don't think men have that issue, but I see that in
They do
women.
sometimes. I've had conversations with men where they've had similar situations when it comes to friendship and their friends not showing up for them. So that's not true.
So Nicole, Nicole said, one of my girls always tell me that everyone is not going to treat you the way that you treat them.
Absolutely, but you should have a certain standard, and you should require that your friends or people that you deal with treat you the way that you want to be treated, and vice versa. And if I can't be honest with you and tell you that this is the way I expect you to be a good friend to me, just like I'm a good friend to you, then we don't need to be friends.
Mm,
It's just as simple as that.
yeah. Sometimes I think that most people don't have those conversations
Absolutely not.
where you have to have conversations with your friends. Like you have to be honest, you have to be open. Like because you could feel bad about showing up, not showing up for someone for something specific, and they could be like, "Look, I understand. You live in another state. It's
Right.
all good. Like you good. Long as you're good, I'm happy." Like one of the things I find interesting is my two sisters.
Hmm.
My two sisters are best friends. They're best friends with each other, right?
Hmm.
And they literally talk for 2 3 hours a day every day, and they've been doing it since we were kids. Like, and I'll be
That's
like, yo, what?
beautiful.
I'll be like, look, I'll text one sister, right? And I know when I text her, it's like a group text. I
Mhm.
text her knowing she's going to tell the other sister because I
Right.
know they're going to talk.
Right.
So the other sister, one day I text, she's like, why you texting me? Why don't you text her? You know I'm gonna find out. You ain't got to text.
Mhm.
So I think having that circle and being there and being supportive. I know my sister always speaks about when she had got the news that my mother had passed away. She was out of the country, and you know her trip got cut short, and she had to rely on her circle of friends that was there to give her that moral support. And I
Mhm.
think that's very, very, very important to have people that are gonna
Absolutely.
be there when you're going through stuff, and people that is gonna be there when they call you out on your stuff.
Right.
That because we all may err in our behavior or anything, and like, yo, you could do better. You look, you've been stagnating in a certain area of your life, like
Right.
tighten up.
Right.
You Yeah, yeah.
Right. Um, Another negative behavior I'd like to point out is destructive behavior and self-sabotaging.
Mm.
How about that? Let's go there. Let's go there. So
Self-sabotaging.
some people are so used to we do need moral support, but some people are so used to dealing with I want to say some women are so used to dealing with a friend group of backbiting, catty frenemies that they don't even know what a real friend is. They talk about each other behind each other's back, etc. So that when they meet a real one, when they meet a solid one, it's hard for them to accept that friendship because nobody's ever treated them that way before. And they sometimes they tend to stray back to those poor behaviors and that negative behavior, and they can really be very destructive because they're not used to having a solid group of women in their life.
Mm. I see that. I see that. I see that to the point of you could think very highly of someone, and you could see the potential. And me and you've talked about this numerous times. I'll come to you about somebody, and I'll see them, and I'll be like, "Yo, they got so much potential." This, that, third, and you, as my friend, you'll be like, "Q, just wait," and eventually they will do something. I'll be like, "Nah, that ain't work, yo. That ain't gonna work." Because they and self-sabotaging is a major thing that it's a major flaw in people, and because of the topic of our conversation, in women, where literally they're and I don't want this to come off crazy, they're so emotionally caught up in the moment that they don't realize what they're doing. It's reactionary. Like, why are you reacting? Don't react. Just don't react, because now you've dug yourself, like they always say, when you first find yourself in a hole, the first thing you do is stop digging. Like,
Right.
now you for example, and I know the women in the chat may you meet a nice guy. He fits all the boxes.
Yep.
And now, because he can't be true, or he has to have a flaw, now you're doing everything under the sun to fuck it up.
Yep.
And you'd be like, what the hell?
Agreed.
What,
Agreed. I've
what the
seen
hell?
that also.
Now, not saying he's not perfect. He's not perfect, because nobody is perfect.
No
But
one's perfect.
you
Right.
start doing crazy stuff just to get a reaction, because, like,
Because you're so used to that dysfunction.
quarter,
Some people are constantly on survival mode.
yeah.
And they need to be on thriving mode.
Loving mode,
Loving mode,
yeah.
thriving mode, be better mode. I don't want to
Yeah.
be that person anymore mode, and all of that.
Said my grandpa used to tell me that every action doesn't need a reaction. Oh, it's so true.
Agreed.
It's so true. I mean, we see it every day with social media. Me and Melodic will share texts and phone calls about I'm amazed. And this is why we should never worship anyone or look at celebrities and known personalities as our moral compass. But if you look at those people, 99% of them put their foot in their mouth.
Right.
Like, just live and let live. Your values, your morals that you live by are good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Stop trying to live up to the standards of society. And
Right.
it's interesting how then they'll keep self-sabotaging, and we see it over and over again, no matter who the person is. You'll see it tomorrow. You'll see it this week. They give you some ammunition to talk about, as I would say, dealing with other shows that I do. Like, if you want to talk about, and this is what we do in social media and discuss things, they just sit back and watch. Somebody's going to do something stupid.
Right. No, you're absolutely right. One thing that I'd like to bring up and I'd like to talk about is sometimes you don't necessarily feel like you're a role model, but when you have a platform and you're in the public eye, you are a role model, so you do have a certain responsibility to those people who are, and young women especially. Uh, uh, you know, young women are still trying to find out who they are, and if you're following social media and women who are basically damn near naked on the camera, you know, for a like, or doing anything for a like, um, that's not the person. That's not the person to follow. That's not the group to follow, because if you're looking for any type of positive interaction, that's not going to breed positive interaction. Are you that thirsty for validation that this is not Pornhub?
I
You and
am
I
in.
actually had a conversation about this last week, about
Mhm.
um you know women, certain women who use their bodies for validation and likes, etc. And we were talking about a certain instance where there was another young woman who was very close to the this particular woman, and the young woman was mimicking the behavior, the
Mhm.
negative behavior of looking for validation on social media, and it was just so crazy and so sad.
You speaking about something that I think that it could go on and on about it, and I know that we're going to touch it eventually within the topics that we discuss. Is knowing knowing that unfortunately the negative behavior is what attracts people, is what attracts attention, is what attracts the likes, is what attracts everything, and then realizing like, yo, you passing these behaviors down onto your daughters potentially, and potentially your nieces and your
Right.
friends, and at a certain point, for some of us, their granddaughters. So it's
Hmm.
like you sure you want to do that, and I think that a lot of times it's like a battle. Are you going to be negative? Because negative does not mean that you're being independent and you're being doing what you want to do and being free. It has nothing to do with that. And I think sometimes people in general confuse the two issues. Like you don't have to, you could still draw attention to yourself or to your brand or to people coming to you instead of doing certain things. And unfortunately, we've seen so much attraction come to people that are taking off their clothes, unfortunately,
Mm.
or dancing a certain way. But listen, melodic, great show, great energy. Really enjoyed this topic. I really think it was thought provoking and allows us to really look at, definitely the women, to look at some of the behaviors that we do, which in the overall grand scheme of things will go back to what you said. It is self-sabotaging, because at the end of the day, you're only hurting yourself, you're only stagnating your growth and your maturity. So I really appreciate the topic and able to discuss this week. Do you have any final thoughts?
Oh, final thoughts. Let's focus on positive behavior, ladies. Just strive to be the best that you can be. Um, Manipulation, selfishness, codependency, destructive behavior, catty, envious, jealous, vindictive. Those are all things you should strive not to be. And positive energy, um, supporter of your sister circle, and each one teach one should be your code of conduct, not the
Great.
latter.
With that, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Next week, it's an interesting. We had this topic, and next week people celebrate Mother's Day. So
All right.
so
Happy
we'll
Mother's
see you
Day.
guys in 2 weeks, and enjoy, have a great time, and great topic, and hopefully we'll get somebody to benefit from it. Thank you and have a great night.
Conversations with Friends.